I want to go back to you doing boxing. Did you get into it because you're like, I'm going to kick ass and take names? Or did you get into it because you're like, comedy pisses me off. I need to get it out.
I first started when I was like probably like just boxing for fitness. That's all I've ever done. There's my boxing gym now does like a women's sparring class on Wednesday nights.
How cool.
And I kind of want to, first I just want to go and watch.
Okay.
Take notes.
Yeah.
Then I want to find out what I need to buy. Well, the headgear. I think you have to wear like headgear.
But they don't give you the headgear. You have to buy it.
I think you have to buy your own.
By the way, you remind me of when comics are just like, when like someone wants to do comedy.
And they just go to the mic.
They're like, I think I'm going to go to a couple open mics, just like watch them. And I'm like, just go and perform at your first one.
Yeah, no, I'm going to watch. That was what I did too for comedy.
Did you really?
Yeah. First few open mics I went to, I just watched.
It's funny because I understand that like inherently, naturally, there was a time where you didn't do comedy, but like I don't remember you not doing comedy.
Me?
Yes, just because I mean like I think I just like got used to seeing you.
Yeah.
So I just like I have no idea when you came or like when you came into the scene. I'm like, oh yeah, there's Macey.
And you won't know when I leave.
I hope you don't.
I'm just kidding.
Because here's the thing: you leave one of two ways, and one is really sad, and one is still sad.
Still, both are sad. And I started the first time I did it was in 2015.
Okay.
I was in class. No, out here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so I was taking a class, and so I would only really do it when there was like a showcase for the class. Yeah. And then of course I would go watch open mics.
I wonder if we ever saw each other.
Maybe.
You were like, "Who's that schmuck?" And I was like,
I was like, "This is why I don't perform yet."
No, no. This is why I don't want to be at these mics. Wait, by the way, I want to hear the rest of the show. Before we do that, let's get into the tea real fast.
I know.
I'm going to introduce the tea.
Please.
What is that? You're like, oh God.
No. I'm just jealous of your mug.
Oh my gosh. We'll talk about that too. For those steeping at home, this is Bird and Blend apple strudel. This is an herbal, so you can steep it boiling I did 7 minutes. Go nuts. How do you think about the tea? You feeling good?
I think it's very good. I was worried it would be too apple strudely. But it's not. It's nice.
I wish that were an adjective that were used more often.
I also think this would be a nice, even though it's not too strudely and I'm enjoying it, it could be a nice dessert replacement. Like if you're trying to not eat as much sweets.
I need to learn how to be better about that. I've been trying to eat healthy in anticipation of my wedding.
When is that? What's the countdown?
It is I leave in 14 days, but it's about 3 weeks out.
So you'll be there about a week and then you'll get married.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I land.
Because it's in Italy, right?
Yes. Did I tell you that already?
I don't know how I knew that.
Oh,
you did at that part. We went to Julia and Nick's party.
Yeah.
And I think I found out then.
Yeah, I talked your ear off there. I remember that. Yeah, but I'm trying to eat healthier. Yeah. At Julia and Nick's party, I had 3 celery sticks and a carrot stick.
Oh. I didn't even know there were vegetables there.
Yeah, I would say it's the least exciting. No one goes to a party and goes like, hey, do you guys have a veggie tray?
No.
Let me get that. They had pulled pork. Like, who's going for a veggie tray? I don't even eat meat. And I was like, that looks great.
You're a pescatarian.
Did I tell you that too?
No. I listened to the podcast with the episode with Jessica Saul.
Okay, and I mentioned
and
it
you came out as a pescatarian.
I came out. Oh, yeah. Did my parents
to me,
approve?
You came out to me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure maybe your other listeners knew.
It's funny, I don't get messaged about that. I get messaged about a ton of things, but I definitely get messages from people sometimes that are like oddly specific. Like I get messages where people go, why don't you talk more about the tea? And then I get other messages from people who go, you spend too much time talking about the tea.
And that's why you can't please everyone.
I haven't pleased anyone up to this point.
I know. That's what's really hard too, is you still want to just please someone.
I know. I'm shocked I'm even getting married. I haven't pleased her once.
Yeah.
And I mean that in every definition.
Yeah, no, I believe you.
No, it's it's tough. It's tough with all these kinds of things. I think like I'm curious because when I watch your comedy, I feel like there's no way to call comedy objective, but like I do feel like objectively you are very funny.
Oh, wow. Thank
and
you.
I like don't be surprised. I think that you have a delivery that I think even if someone doesn't like all the jokes, it is something that is universally like, it makes sense. You know what I mean? So given that, do you find sometimes where you're like, I can't please everyone? Or you are, given your delivery feels universally accessible, you're like, I'm kind of nailing it.
I feel like I have come to the conclusion that I'm not going to be for everyone. And that's okay. I'm going to have to be okay with that.
Are you,
You
you
know?
seem easygoing. Are you not? Is that something that keeps you up?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it is kind of when I think of other comics maybe that are very different from me and that are super successful. And then there are comics who I love, who I
Mm.
feel like should be way more successful than they are.
Oh, kind of
And
want to get some of those names, but
well, even just I just feel like now comedy is just like everything. There's so much since there's so much content. There aren't to me there aren't really superstars, and the ones that are superstars maybe aren't the ones that are like my cup of tea. You know what I
what?
mean?
Okay, did you prep that? Was that
No, that
prepped?
was completely
That was
yeah.
organic?
I took improv,
Oh,
so
yeah,
that
no, for
was
sure.
yeah.
At the Groundlings.
That's right. That's right.
We do our research here. You should
yeah.
know.
Which I was not great for the groundlings. I'll tell you that.
Why?
I love that I did it, and it was fun, and I met good people, but they want big characters.
Listen, you're great at so many things. I don't see you being big generally.
I didn't like it. No,
Mm.
I tried it, which me going big is not. People are like, you still didn't do it. And
Were
I'm
you
like,
like,
no, but I really did it.
hey?
Yeah, I was just a little bit louder, or
Uh-huh.
I did a really like loud Southern accent.
Oh, okay.
I felt like it's a Southern accent because I'm from Texas. That's the
Yeah.
only one I'm really allowed to do anymore.
Can you not pull Oklahoma?
Well, my parents are from Oklahoma,
I know.
so I could do that one. You don't know that.
I knew your mom was from Oklahoma. I didn't know your dad was from Oklahoma.
Yeah, they both are. And
You got to be a little impressed. We dig here.
you really
we
did.
Yeah, we
That's
did.
good.
I know your kindergarten teacher's name.
Oh yeah,
No, that's
it's
a joke.
pretty
I don't
easy
have
though.
that.
I think you could maybe guess.
Miss Smith, Jones, Johnson,
I mean,
James.
McDonald.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to be honest. Wasn't going to get there.
But it's kind of a kindergarten teacher's name.
It 100% is.
Yeah.
Mine was Miss Chaotis. I don't know how you're getting there. Can I tell you, I tried to find her once. I don't know how to spell that name. Can't find her.
Chaotis.
Yeah.
Wow, it's like a chaotic goddess.
And can I tell you?
Yeah.
Big fan of hers. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I was in kindergarten, so whether or not I had a foundation for that liking, I don't know.
I think you did.
Yeah.
I think if you would have had a bad teacher, you would have known.
I remember her teaching us how to count. Is that weird? 5 years old. I remember her teaching us how to count.
No, I think that's a great memory to have.
Yeah.
I remember learning, I think it was kindergarten, the like wants versus needs. And
I don't remember that.
and so you're learning like what does it really mean to want something? It sounds very more complicated than it is, but I do remember it feeling complicated. Like you need water, you need shelter,
Yeah.
you want soda,
Oh, okay.
that kind of thing, and you don't want to. You want to understand the difference.
It's funny. Do you feel like, and by the way, don't think I lost the thread on your parents because we're going back to it.
Mm,
Do you
I
ever
lost it.
feel like, I didn't, it's up here, I'm a
Okay.
lockbox. Do you ever feel like being in a relationship, because you're married, being in a relationship, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes you almost revert to like childlike things?
Oh yeah.
Because as when you were just explaining wants and needs, like I feel like like if I said to Jess, if I was like, oh, I really want ice cream, and she's like, do you need that? I'd be like, honestly, I think I do.
Yeah.
I think I need it.
I think knowing though what as an adult what you want is so hard, and also what you need is also even harder.
Tell
Like
me more.
I think for instance, okay,
Yeah, hit me.
you want ice cream,
Sure.
but in a way you need it because let's say you're you're sad,
Yeah.
okay, and so you know that will help you feel better.
Sure.
So that's kind of a need. But let's say you have a serious ice cream problem, you have an addiction, you're trying to cut back, you're diabetic.
Mm,
You don't need ice cream anymore.
probably not.
And you probably shouldn't, and I don't even know if you're allowed to need something like food to make you feel better. I don't even know if that's allowed anymore. I'm so confused about what I want and what I need.
I don't know. Well, yeah, no, I don't know. I was about to give you an answer. I don't know. Because I was going to say, I think what I need
Mhm.
is my health and my happiness.
Okay.
But now I'm thinking, is happiness a want?
Right.
But
Because you don't, I mean, yes, I guess we're saying for survival, right? Then you don't
Yeah.
need your happiness, I guess. But to prosper, maybe you do.
I
To like,
I need tea, or I want tea.
well, can I ask,
Please.
do you also drink coffee?
Yes.
Okay. I as well. I like both tea and coffee.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing you start your mornings with coffee, and then sometimes in the
Correct.
afternoon you have tea.
Correct.
Yeah. I did that this morning.
Yeah. I noticed you had an espresso, and I was like, that's either for him or for Jess. I don't know. Yeah.
You know what? I did not. Coffee used to be a uncommon, infrequent treat, And then during COVID, everything was sad, and Jess was like, "I used to have an espresso every day, so let's get an espresso." Do you have an
Yeah,
espresso?
I do.
Do you use
I
it every
use it
day?
every now and then. For the most part, so Chad, my husband, will make us a pot of coffee in the morning, and
I
then by
always
the
liked
time
him.
I wake up, it's there for me. I
I
have to heat it up, but
Sure.
hmm
I remember when you first met him, and I told you,
hmm
diehard fan.
right.
When was
I
that
remember
again?
that.
Mm.
That was in 20. So yeah, before I ever did comedy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
great.
when I saw you in 2013.
Yeah, when I lived in Chicago. Yeah, yeah. I
That's when
remember
you
we
met
saw
and you said, "This is the guy."
this
Yeah.
is the one.
hmm
Also in comedy or no?
No,
Okay. Better for that, or would you rather he be in comedy?
I think it's nice that he's not.
Don't you?
I do.
I think like I love comedy
hmm
and I love people in comedy and I
hmm
think all y'all are the best.
hmm
And it is nice to come home and not have someone be like, "Ugh,
Yes.
I've submitted 4 times to
hmm
Wrigley Comedy Chew and I just can't get on there." I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Do you need me to vouch for you for Wrigley
oh,
Comedy
oh no,
Show?
I've done that show many a time. No, I love those folks. I love those
They're
folks.
great.
Can I tell you the last time I went, there was a proposal, and
Wow.
I was like, holy crap! I was on it with Sammy Sucker, and I was just like, could it get weirder? And she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I would be pretty sad if I got proposed to at Wrigley Comedy Show.
I would say, where did you get proposed to?
In the Palisades, like on a walk.
I was hoping you were going to be like, actually, I got proposed to at the Crow.
Oh,
And I was
yes.
like, oh
In
yeah,
the
nice,
nest.
nice, nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
On a walk. I like that.
Well, it wasn't. It's a pretty. My engagement story is pretty. I'll get into it. I don't think I've ever told it on a podcast.
Oh,
So,
well, so I want to be clear. We're going to run this across all the other podcasts that you've been on. And if
and
you've
you have
told
to-
it, we're cutting it.
yeah, ChatGPT will know.
Probably.
We could just ask it real quick. If
100%.
So, I I had just gone to a so apparently Chad had the ring for months and months and months. But I had said like I wasn't ready yet.
Oh,
So he was just keeping it, just burning a hole in his pocket.
jumping
right?
guns here, Chad.
And he had already, asked my mom and make sure, that was all right. And so it was like, and he knew that I have a lot of anxiety and I
Mm.
had a lot of anxiety about getting married and I was so scared. I just never I thought it was really dumb to get married.
I've had those thoughts.
Yeah. And
3 weeks out, I've
Yeah.
had those thoughts. Yeah, yeah.
and I didn't really believe in I knew that I loved him, but I was so afraid of that too. I was just
Mm.
very scared. And so he knew he'd have to surprise me because if I knew it was coming, I was leaving town.
Yeah, yeah. You were runaway briding.
Exactly. So I was just gotten out of a pop physique class, which is like a
Pop
pop
physique?
physique.
Should I
It was
take
like
that?
no, it's
Okay.
really hard and annoying. It's
Yeah.
like a bar class.
No.
So yeah.
Already out. Too much cardio.
And he and I had plans for lunch afterwards. And I didn't change or shower because I was like, I don't really care. And we were just going to go somewhere
Oh, boy.
casual. So I go in my leggings and my sweat shirt and
Yeah, yeah.
hair up and Denny's. And
Classic.
I ordered migas.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is it's a bold move.
Oh, I think it's delicious.
Oh, it's delicious. But I didn't know the day that was before me.
Oh,
So
no.
I got pretty sick. I was like, I'm sweating. I'm like, oof, I don't feel well. And he's like, do you want to go for a little walk? And I was
No,
like,
Chad.
and I was like, yeah, sure. So we drive to a little walking area and we start walking and I was like, ooh, I need to sit down. I saw a bench. So I sat down on this bench and then I turned and he went to get down on his knee and I said, no. I yelled no. It's like, no,
I
no, no,
wouldn't
no,
say
no,
it would
no.
instill confidence in me if you yelled no before I'd even asked the
And
question.
he goes, this is what he does. He gets up, he goes, it's going to be okay. I'm going to ask you if you want to marry me. And then I was like, oh my God. And I just bawled.
Of course.
But I bawled because I was scared too.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody's hiding. I was so scared that like people were gonna pop out of a bush or something, and I didn't want the surprise. I didn't
Yeah.
want the cameraman coming
I
out.
feel like he probably knew that.
And he knew that no one was there hiding in the bush. And it was fine, and it was a sweet. It ended up being a sweet moment. But the first person I called was my therapist. I left her a voicemail, but she didn't pick up, and I'm not mad. So anyway, that was. The first word out of my mouth was no. I honestly am not sure I ever said yes, but we are married today.
So it panned out.
Yeah, it panned out.
I do love, if you're mad at your therapist, you can't go to another therapist to talk about it.
I had this idea for, I actually wrote it, like a little short film where I had a girl had a therapist, and she had an unhealthy relationship with her therapist, so she got another therapist for the relationship with her therapist. And
I love it.
it was pretty funny, but then I was like, who's got that kind of money? So I'd have to make her, like a annoying, probably trust fund baby, but that's the kind of person, that, or maybe one's BetterHelp and the other's, I don't know. But it's kind of a funny idea.
I used to tell, well, I'm not used to. I mean, I literally did this recently as a week ago, so I still do it. I just don't do it all the time. But I told a joke on stage about how my therapist, at one point when we were talking, he goes, listen, and I don't want you to like feel self-conscious about our relationship, like, and worry that like, whether or not I like you, because the reality is, as a therapist, like, I also wonder if my patients like me. And I said, yeah, so this isn't about you. I was like, find your own therapist.
That's
this
what
is
you
about,
said.
yeah, I mean, I was kidding.
I love
I was
that,
kidding,
though. That's
but
so fun.
we have a good relationship.
I love that. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, find your own. This is
That's
about me.
really
Thank
funny.
you. Good day. I also see a couples therapist with Jess. We
did premarital counseling, and I think that was great.
Religious or non-religious?
Religious.
Religious. Okay. Are you a religious person?
I am. I struggle like to admit that.
Oh, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
I know you're not. You're being a normal, and I go to a Christian church, and
Lovely.
I hope.
You hope it's Christian, or
no? I hope there's a God.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, what is that? It's there's that expression, I can't remember what it is, which is like, if there isn't, it's like a not a paradox, but like a saying that people say all the time. If there isn't a God and you go to church, you're fine. If there is a God and you don't, you have problems.
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, because I have a lot of people have some sort of have like some sort of religious trauma of some kind.
Sure.
And I went to Catholic school, and so
Okay.
I'm not Catholic, but that kind of tainted religion for me a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
But I remember when I was little, because I was at Catholic school, I remember being like, why wouldn't anyone? Because I was like, either you believe in God, you go to heaven. You don't, you go to hell. That's how I thought.
Well, presumably that's kind of what's presented
that's what was taught
to
and
kids. Yeah.
Why would anyone not believe in God? Like, I was like, even if you don't really, you just do.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you realize, oh no, belief is not. It's hard. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah.
So yeah, I think but it is something that like helps.
I think that as a kid, you're presented with a binary idea, which is like, to your point, you believe in God, you're a good child, you go to heaven, you don't, you go to hell. And I think like as a kid, because you don't understand the implication of actual belief, you're sitting there thinking, yeah, well, if I'm at the pearly gates and God goes, you believe? You go, no, I believed. I don't know. Like, Sarah, I don't think believed, but I was, and you just think like, oh, if I just say it, it's a thing. But yeah, I think as you get older, that's the thing about religion that I find interesting, is like, no one talks about the fact that faith requires work. Now, I don't happen to be a religious person, but I am also not of the orientation where I'm just like, you're religious. Like, I never took that tact, because to me, it's kind of like, none of us have the right answer to any of this.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So who cares how you choose to observe and how I choose to observe? There's no way for either of us to prove the other one's right or wrong.
No.
So and to what end, if you could, why would you do it?
I know.
It doesn't help either of us.
I know. It's crazy.
I think it's nuts.
None of us actually know.
The community aspect of religion, I get a little jealous of, because I'm just like, man, like, I understand that there are other parts of religion that are important, but the fact that everyone's coming together and afterward you could be like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
Robert, how did your blah, blah, blah go? And like, it's just like a fun,
Right.
and some churches, I don't know if yours says this, like have a little spread afterward.
Yeah,
And
there's
how
some
lovely is
donuts.
that?
I know.
Just donuts? Donuts are my least favorite dessert.
Whoa,
Oh,
really?
I'm sorry.
No, you don't hear very often that. Well, I'm not saying it needs to be a favorite, but most people still love donuts.
I like a donut.
Yeah.
If you're talking like Dunkin' Donuts, Boston cream donut, like let's play ball. Or like
Oh yeah, you're East Coast.
I am.
Yeah.
Sidecar, love those.
Those are great.
Yeah. The
yeah.
butter and salt donut from Sidecar.
Very good. I like their Huckleberry.
Huckleberry donut's a great donut.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do think generally speaking, this is my like super hot take. Like donuts and cookies? No.
And cookies. So you're cake and pie?
Pie is my favorite dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a Southerner. You like pie?
I love pie.
Oh, yeah, you do.
You want to know my favorite kind of pie?
Oh.
And this actually might be my controversial take.
I would have had a guess, but now I don't think it's right at all.
Well, what were you gonna guess?
I was gonna guess like a peach pie or like a cherry pie.
I mean, both are yum.
I mean, great. Delicious pies.
But I love a coconut cream pie.
Can I tell you? Maybe that's objectionable to other people. I would eat the hell out of a coconut cream pie.
Right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't like coconut though. Coconut's very polarizing.
My hot take, I hate meringue.
Okay.
So like I think it's just like what is it doing there?
Mm-hmm.
And so like lemon meringue pies, I love a lemon
The lemon part.
pie. I don't like all the meringue.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone dares, and I mean this very intensely as I'm voicing it.
Yeah.
If someone dares give me a key lime pie, which is my favorite pie,
Uh-huh.
with meringue on top,
Oh.
you want to talk about trauma.
Yeah.
Who hurt you?
Right.
It doesn't need all that.
It's strong enough on its own.
100%.
You just want like a little dollop of whipped cream, right?
Whipped cream is different.
Yeah.
Give me all the whipped cream.
Yeah.
Don't give me the meringue.
If I had like a really good piece of key lime pie, I think I would get it.
Yeah.
I just haven't had that.
Fair. Well, I think it goes back to the fact that like your flavor of Southern is not Florida. Florida has a lot of key lime.
So true.
But you were going back to what you were saying before about, because we were talking about Oklahoma. Your parents are both from Oklahoma, and then we lost that thread.
Yeah.
What were you talking? You were saying that they were both from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
How does that impact you? Is that a part of your identity at all?
So also all of my all of my family. I was kind of the only one born in Texas. They're all born in Oklahoma. I didn't really grow up visiting. I think my mom wanted to get out of there.
Okay.
And my dad still says like maybe one day I'll move back to Oklahoma.
It doesn't sound happy. That sounds begrudging.
That's him happy.
Oh.
Yeah. Because he says the people there are nicer and
Than the people in Texas.
yeah.
Are you Austin? Oh, I always thought people in Austin were nice.
They are.
Huh.
They are. You're no matter where you go, there you are. You know what I mean? It's just thinking of what if.
How many of those do you have? I'm curious. I've spotted 2 so far on the podcast. Just fun little phrases that work so well coming out of your mouth that if I said it, they'd be like, "Yeah, Josh, good job." And I'd be like, I don't. You know what I mean?
I don't know, but my grandma, my mom's mom, pretty much solely spoke in simile and metaphor.
I would have fallen in love with this woman.
She was pretty amazing. And some of them were racist.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to pull it back. When I say fall in love, I mean, I think I would have liked some of what she had to say.
I think so. And I think you would have understood her heart maybe and been like, oh, this is, if she could just stop saying those things, she'd be okay maybe. It is funny to think about though our generation being that age and what we will say that will piss off the younger generations.
I don't think we know it yet.
No, we don't. But
here's the thing: we'll wear ankle socks, and everyone will just be in a rage.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true. I do think maybe we'll be more binary about a lot of things.
Sure,
that might piss them off. I don't know.
I never thought I was going to turn the age where there was so much slang I didn't know and was equally not interested in learning it.
I've been surprised by music, how every now and then I'll hear new music and I'm like, I enjoy it, but I'm starting to not want to listen to new music. And I was worried about that day. There's a less desire to explore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Now, if I recall correctly, now this may be wrong, again, based on research, you feel free to debunk it. Are you still, during the day, do you nanny for kids?
I do.
Okay. Is it harder when how old are they?
Whatever the answer is.
Yes.
So they are turning. So in
27.
a month, they will be, I'm not kidding, 15 and 17. and
Terrors. They're terrors.
they
Teenage
don't really
terrors.
need me. You know, the job has changed quite. I've been with them 6 years, so I feel like So I feel like I'm just kind of just a part of, just hanging around, just part of the fam.
Let's say, hypothetically speaking,
Yes.
at the end of the year, you're no longer working for them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you close enough that like you still think you could have lunch every now and
yeah.
again? Like you'd go to the kids' weddings?
Definitely. I would hope so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'll tell you this. I had a nanny from when I was born till I was 1.5. Not a long time.
Yeah.
And I think those are the right ages. Either way, she was there for about 1.5 years for me. The nanny that we had was this 19-year-old from Canada who, to this day, is one of our family's closest family friends. She's coming to my wedding. Like she's a mix of like a sister and an aunt. She's a sant.
I say sant. You say sant. Yeah.
No, I usually say aunt, but I thought you'd
okay.
be like, why is he? She's not a little insect, and then I was like, aunt.
No, they're all insects.
Oh, lovely. Okay, like all of our relatives.
Yeah, I'm an aunt.
I am an uncle. I'm a funkle.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say the F word.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's gunkle.
It's gunkle. Yeah, I'm gunkle. Wow. I really hope everyone gets that joke because that was hilarious. Solid.
Thank you.
By the way, I hate to interrupt this, but are you ready for the first segment?
I think so.
Okay, so the first segment is called the Newly Friend Game. It's like the Newlywed Game, but we are friends. You have a whiteboard over there. You can grab it. We put it far away. We're trying to give you some exercise because, what was the name of the class that you went to?
Pop Physique.
Pop Physique. This is like Pop Physique. Now,
Yeah.
the way this works, I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to write down your answer. Don't say it out loud. I'm going to write down what I think your answer is.
Okay.
We're going to flip the board, see if we got it right.
Okay.
And then we will do the same or similar question for me.
I love this smell.
Now, me too.
Okay.
Here's what's interesting about you. Well, again, I did some research. And in my research, I noticed something really peculiar.
Oh.
I never check Facebook, but I checked yours.
Oh, goodness.
And you only have 3 things that you like on your Facebook page.
Okay.
And one of them is the movie Harry and the Hendersons, which is so strange. I guess that is probably a childhood film that you enjoy.
Correct.
Yeah. So my question for you, and again, don't say it out loud, write it down. Other than Harry and the Hendersons, what is a childhood movie that is kind of forgotten by the general public that you really like? 1, 2, 3. Flip. Oh,
Okay,
Iron Giant. And I said Never Ending Story.
I love I used to love the Never Ending Story.
Well, apparently not enough to write it down.
No.
Tell to me about Iron Giant. I love Iron Giant, but it's actually, I find it very sad.
But it's also very happy because he comes back.
Yeah.
He's the giant ends up resurrecting, basically.
If I recall correctly, and I might be wrong, I think it flopped in the theaters.
It did.
But everybody fell in love with it.
Yes, correct.
I loved that movie.
Yeah. I think the guy, I should remember this, but I think the guy who wrote and or directed or something did The Incredibles as well.
I think it was, I thought it was either Pete Docter or Brad Bird.
It's Brad Bird.
Oh, it's Brad Bird. What does he not do well?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You gotta hope. Here's what's funny. So we talk a lot about, or not you and I, but generally the discourse talks about people who it comes out that they've done terrible things. Man, you hope someone like that doesn't get get that kind of outing because you're just like, man, I love The Incredibles. I don't want to not be able to like it anymore.
I think Pixar will not let that out.
Yeah,
if anything's going to get out, Pixar won't let it. That lamp is just going to squash it.
Yeah, it'll jump
before
on it.
anything gets out.
Yeah. That eye is replaced by Me Too allegations. Just like, boop, just hops right on it. That makes sense. Okay, so we're going to do the same question for me. Okay.
Oh.
So the question for me, what is a movie that a forgotten childhood film that I really like? Now, I'm going to be honest. I need to think about this.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Flip. You said The Land Before Time. Great answer. Great movie.
Yeah.
I said The Return of Jafar.
Oh, shoot.
Which is the Aladdin sequel.
That's the sequel. Yeah.
And I'll explain why in a second. And then I wrote the Care Bears movie.
Okay. Yeah.
The Return of Jafar, I'll tell you this. My mother's love affair with the bargain bin led us to a few films in the house. This includes, but is not limited to, The Return of Jafar. Volcano. If you haven't heard of that, it's a Tommy Lee Jones weather film. And you might be thinking, well, there aren't that many weather films. I beg to differ because we also had The Perfect Storm.
Oh, that was a big one though.
Was it? We had
so.
that. We had Ronin.
What about any Ernest?
We did not have any Ernest.
Okay.
Ernest goes to jail would have been a good one.
Yeah, that would be
that
good.
would be good.
He sees Medea there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're, I mean, honestly, right in the same league. But yeah, that's how we got Return to Jafar. And then the Care Bears movie, I will never forget that, like, there's this bad kid, and then, like, toward the end, they all just, like, shooting powers out of their tummies, and they just keep saying, "We care." And then it's like at a summer camp, and they, like, convert this kid into, like, a good kid again. I don't think it's a good movie. I haven't seen it.
Whoa.
Yeah. It seems weird.
I think it's maybe you should revisit that.
Should I?
Yeah.
It's odd. I don't know why that's in my head. Yours was a much better answer.
Yeah, I think if I had to do it again, though, I would have said The Lion King 1.5. But you were maybe too old for that because that came out late. Yeah, they actually came out with The Lion King 1.5.
I was going to say Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but I think I said that on another episode, so I wanted to give you something different.
I don't know that one. That sounds like the sequel to Hocus Pocus.
First of all, the original Hocus Pocus is fantastic. It scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah, it was scary.
The Bedknobs and Broomsticks is from like the 70s, so before both of our times.
Isn't that one of the teas you offered me?
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Named after the movie.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Listen, I mean, that's about, we've gone full circle.
Whoa.
I feel like we're pretty good. I want to go back to, because you were talking about the fact that my anxiety was showing at an early age. And you also mentioned that you have anxiety. Is that what motivated you? Because for those who are listening who have not already checked out, you have a podcast called SSRI'M OK.
Correct.
Phenomenal name.
Thank you.
What led you to want to do it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always, so the first time I started going to therapy in kindergarten because I had such bad anxiety.
I went in 5th grade.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah. So by the time I got to 4th grade is when I was like aware that I had depression. They like told me, and because I started on antidepressant, I didn't end up staying on it, but that at that age. But
you're like, now I found one I like.
I found one I like. It's taken a few years since 4th grade, but
sure.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in mental health and how we can feel better. I think so.
Okay.
And then so I started comedy, in 2015, like I said.
I remember.
Yep. It wasn't that long ago, I told you. And I started in a stand-up comedy class. And in that class, I met this guy named Bijan Zarrabi. He ended up going to medical school. Now he's a resident psychiatrist. And so we met in a stand-up class. And so for like the last couple of years, we've been talking about what if we did a podcast together. So now we finally are doing it.
Because I know you bring on experts. Do you ever find that you go into your own experience when you're talking to these experts? Or do you try and keep it at arm's length?
Yeah, I think I do. But like the most recent one we had was on ADHD. And I don't have that.
I'm scared I do. I've never been diagnosed, but
again, if you're scared you do, it's probably still anxiety. But
okay,
yeah.
Great. I mean, like, yeah, because I wonder if you're doing a podcast that is about mental health, does it almost force you, whether on stage as a comic or in the episodes of the podcast, to do a little more exploration of yourself than maybe you would have done otherwise?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I want to try to be open about it because I was at such a young age, like diagnosed with certain things. I didn't know there was a stigma so much.
I refuse to buy into the stigma. I understand there is one.
Right.
But like, fuck that.
And I feel like we're all on that, pretty much that page right now.
Yeah.
But I think that if I had maybe like developed it in middle school when everything is embarrassing, maybe I would have felt more shame about it. And I'm not saying that I should, it's good that I don't feel shame. But I think there are so many people who still feel that sort of shame with it.
Yeah. When you said developed it, my first thought was she developed the podcast in middle school?
Oh yeah. I created podcasts.
Yeah.
Mark Maron who?
I don't, I've never heard of him.
I know.
No, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, as I've gotten more into my comedy journey, I'm far more interested in talking about stuff like that. Like, I talk very, this is so novel, but I talk a lot about therapy and my own therapist and couples therapy and all these ideas because I'm like, this is much more interesting. Like, Boy,
Yeah.
as much as I'm dying to hear another hot take about like dating, I'm much more interested in hearing like what people go through.
Totally. And I'm interested, like someone like Maria Bamford, she's, one of my favorites.
Well,
and
she's I think one of the best to do
everyone's
it.
favorites.
Yeah, yeah.
And she has things that I don't have. And I love to hear about her mental illnesses,
It's much more interesting when someone is willing to speak about mental illness.
Yeah.
Because I think like mental illness, this is going to sound terrible. I think someone talking about their mental illness is much more interesting than someone coming up with a hackneyed kind of like structured joke about something that is not relatable to them.
Yeah.
I would much rather hear you talk about like, I don't know if you do this or not. I've not heard you talk about this, but like your experiences of like going on and off antidepressants, I think it's much more interesting than if you were to get on there and be like, planes.
Right.
And I'm like, what about planes, Macey?
Right.
Give me your hot take on planes.
Yeah, I have nothing novel on planes.
Who does?
I know.
Have you never heard a joke from a comic? You don't have to name their name, and you heard the joke and you go, this is bullshit.
There was I heard a comic who I was kind of friendly with, who I felt like did a joke that I'd heard before and like I could remember. And it's not they didn't mean to on purpose. Like I think there's only so much we can talk about in a way. Like I think it was, and I almost was like, should I tell them that like I've heard that joke before? But then I couldn't remember where I'd heard it. I was like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't even know. If I knew for sure where I'd heard it or seen it and been like, I think that's it. Like, watch that. Because, this person they didn't steal a joke. It wasn't on purpose.
I remember once I told a joke and someone was like, that is not a John Mulaney joke, but it is in the atmosphere of a joke John Mulaney told. And I was like, well, that's out of my set. To make a long story very short, I was walking down the street on the way to my apartment, and someone like looked behind me and I just looked behind them. It was a woman and saw me walking and started walking faster. And then like I was like, oh no. And then when I tried to talk to her, she started walking even faster. And I was just like, oh no. And then I like yelled out. I was like, I'm not a murderer.
I have something right now that I have a joke about the stick figure family decals on the back of a car.
Very familiar.
And
I'm working on getting my body in shape for that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And another comic who's I've heard like more successful has a joke about a stick figure family decal. And I've asked a few people like, can I still do this joke? I like am so nervous that I can't even touch the premise.
Can you even get close enough to this comic to ask them?
I honestly could probably DM her.
Okay.
Maybe that's a good idea.
I once was telling a joke about my sister when I was growing up. My mom wanted her to practice reading aloud, so she read me the book "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret," which is like, and the premise of the joke is essentially like that's very weird information for a 12-year-old boy to be having.
Very. Did you watch the movie?
No, but I heard it was great.
So before this, I found out that from listening that your favorite genre of movies is coming of age, which is also Chad's.
Yeah.
So one of his favorite movies most recently was "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret."
Happy to watch it.
So you need to watch it. And I wrote down, you said snack packs or something like that.
Snack packs? That's not a movie, but I like the food.
No, it was a snack.
Oh, Snack Shack.
Snack Shack.
Snack Shack. Did he watch it already?
No, I just wrote it down like a few hours ago.
Guarantee he'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't see the movie, but I remember I told that joke and I was in a green room with Lori Kilmartin. And a buddy of mine was like, are you going to do that? Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret joke. I love that joke. I was like, oh, I wasn't going to, but I could. And then Lori goes, don't say anything. And I go, what do you mean? Do you have a joke about that? She goes, no, I have a joke about the Diary of Anne Frank. I just don't want to overlap at all. And she's like, if you're not going to be offended, I don't want to watch your set now because I don't want it to get in my head. And I was like, offended? God, no.
Wow. When was that?
Years ago.
Wow.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is different from Diary of an Anne Frank.
Well,
Diary
sure.
of Anne Frank,
One was, well, they were both dealing with their hormones, but one was in an attic. And then I think Anne Frank might have been in there too.
Maybe.
Boo! Sometimes you just hit a home run. You know what I mean? So you don't even know. You don't even know.
I know.
I hate to do this, but are you ready for the lightning round?
I love that you hate to do it. Yes.
So this is the lightning round. It's 5 fast questions. Does not at all have to be fast answers. It's just the last 5 questions we end every episode with. I'm gonna have a sip of my my tea here before we get started.
I really like drinking hot tea on stage.
I do too.
It's the best to, for your throat, I think.
I don't typically drink alcohol on stage. I mainly drink tea. Yeah. And if they have it, or water.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to find a club with tea.
Oh well,
you have to bring your own.
It's in my writer.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
I'll do that.
But I keep this on the index card because it makes me feel like a late night talk show host.
Most of them sit on couches like this.
They should.
Yeah. Also, actually, Chelsea Handler always kind of sits on the couch, like the way I'm sitting right now.
Does she really? I mean, that's very comfy. It's comfy position.
I know. She does.
I move around a little bit, but I like where you're at.
Thanks.
Question one: What is a favorite ritual of yours? So, for example, I love brewing tea every day.
I have lots of rituals I don't enjoy or bad habits, I suppose.
Interesting. I think one could suppose that's a ritual.
Bad habit.
Maybe.
Yeah. My favorite ritual though, and this is one that's not good for me, is I watch TV before bed.
Don't we all?
Some people are like, no screens.
Blue light.
I know. I have those blue light glasses actually.
I need to get them. Do they work?
I don't know if they do anything, but I wear them.
Excellent.
But it hurts when I'm laying. I can't lay on the glasses, So then I take them off. So then at the time that I should actually be wearing the glasses, I'm not wearing them. So it's actually there's no point. Don't buy them. But it's like the thing I look forward to most, and it's just especially because everyone's asleep. Chad goes to sleep earlier than me. Like most of the world goes to sleep earlier than me.
When do you go to sleep?
It's not that bad anymore. I used to be worse. Now I probably go to sleep at 12:30, 1.
Oh, that's when I go to sleep.
Yeah. So everyone's gone.
Yeah.
No,
I love that.
Yes. And I can watch, and it's usually before bed. I'm maybe watching a new show, but then right before I have to watch a comfort show.
Like The Office, Parks and Rec.
Golden Girls.
Great show. Goes back to the mug. You clocked my mug as soon as I took it out.
As soon as I did, because I thought you did the research and you knew that I would love it. And
probably missed that in the research, but
that's okay.
One of my favorite episodes in television was an episode of Golden Girls. I don't think you'll get it, but you could try. I'll put it this way. It was a landmark episode of television.
Was it when Blanche's brother comes out as gay?
That is the most incredible thing. We should have done that for the Newly Friend game. That is my favorite episode.
Yes!
That's my
That's the most energy I've ever exuded. Do you see how excited I just was?
I was thrilled with that. How the fuck did you get that?
You said landmark, and I wouldn't have guessed that if you hadn't said landmark, just because that was such a big deal at the time.
But it's also just a great episode.
It was incredible.
It's such a good episode.
Really good episode. Clayton.
And I typically, I typically don't I don't think I would have picked a Blanche-centric episode as my episode, but that happens to be it for me.
Wow.
That's great.
That's really great.
I feel good about this.
I do too.
Can I ask you one last question on the ritual perspective?
Oh, yeah.
Are you watching TV in your bed or on the couch?
In my bed.
Okay. I refuse to watch TV in bed because I feel like the bed, I was taught when I was 18 that the bed is for two things. Actually, but one of my mother's good friends.
Okay.
I was going off to college
She said, here's your...
you know what? I'm sorry. It wasn't 18. I was 21. I was going off. I was just graduating college.
Okay.
And she said to me, she goes, just so you know, when you get a room as an adult, don't put a TV in your bedroom. I said, why? She goes, the bed is for two things. It's for sleeping and some other physical activity with someone you care about. And beyond that, you don't want to program yourself so that when you get in bed, you're not thinking about one of those two things. It'll make it much harder for you to fall asleep.
She's completely right. The issue is I started at a very young age doing this, and I just haven't been able to stop. When I was in therapy, I think this was in around third grade, I had a lot of insomnia when I was little, and I have so much fear of going to sleep. I think we might be. My therapist at the time said, do you have a TV in your room? And I remember being like, and he was like, do you watch it before bed? And I was like, no, I usually watch TV with my dad, and then I'd go to bed. And he goes, well, do you have a little sleep timer on your, he goes, why don't you watch it, put on a sleep timer and see if you can go to sleep. And that night I fell asleep, and because I could fall asleep with them talking on the TV. And I was like, I'm cured, but I'm kind of not, because now I'm still sick, because that's the only way I can fall asleep. So I have to do that to fall asleep.
What do you do if you're staying in a place that doesn't have a TV in the bedroom?
I always bring my iPad.
Okay. And there's a sleep timer on there?
Yes. Instead of the sound, it's stop playing, and then it'll stop playing the music or the movie or whatever you're watching.
Well, it's a good thing Chad can sleep through things, because
I know.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I know. I start with headphones while he's falling asleep, and then once he's asleep, I let it rip.
Yeah. Hopefully you mean TV watching. And
obviously that's what I mean.
No, obviously that's what you meant. Question 2, what is a running bit you have with a friend or partner that makes you laugh?
So This I'm not super proud of, but I was thinking about I have these 3 friends from college and
Sure.
we've remained friends. And one time my friend was looking through my phone and she was like, "You have this guy's number?" It was this guy that went to our college
Mm.
that was just very random that I
Yeah.
had his number. And I go, "Oh, yeah, because he used to date so and so who I lived with that summer or whatever." And I don't know. I mean, maybe we had something to. I don't even know if we'd had something to drink. I wish that was the. But we're like, would be so funny if you called him right now. We called him, and I think I left him a message, like a crazy person, right? I definitely think he blocked me eventually. And the last time I called him was a while ago, but we still bring up his name all the time because it makes us laugh. But when I got engaged, they're like, "Call him and tell him you got engaged." So I called him. I left him a voicemail. I was like, "You would not believe this. I just got engaged."
I'm stunned.
I know.
How many times did you call him?
5 or 6 times.
Oh, okay. That's not as I thought it was like going upwards of 15.
No, it was like 5 or 6 through 5 or 6 years. Like, yeah. And since then I have stopped because I was like, first of all, I don't even know if this is still his number.
Sure.
Which is maybe still funny. Maybe I should still call it the next time but like his name to us is funny.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Question 3. What is a very controversial opinion that you have?
I can't even think of what's it called when sunrise. I think that's overrated. Watching the sunrise.
That's a hot take.
Right? That's pretty controversial.
Is it because you have to wake up early or
Yes.
just the colors are just not enough for you?
Not enough to wake up early. Like, what? You know what? One day in my life, there might come a time where my circadian rhythm is completely different than it is now.
Good for you.
And I will appreciate that sunrise as a beautiful new day and majesty on the horizon. There's been a couple times where I've woken up early in the morning and I'm like, I kind of get it. Like, there's something crisper in the air. But then I feel so sick because it's so early. So I'm like, this isn't, I guess the morning. I think the morning is so overrated for me. And I know that other people feel differently.
But I think that's why it's a hot take.
Right.
My hot take is that I think that morning people and night owls are trying to achieve the same thing, which is some peace away from the hubbub.
Yeah.
And the night owls choose to get it when everyone's asleep, and the morning people choose to get it when everyone's asleep.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like just different times of day. That's my opinion on things.
I think you're right, because Chad's a big morning person, and I'm a night owl. And so I find that night owls sometimes marry early birds or partner up with early birds.
Jess used to be an early bird. Now I've converted her by accident.
Whoa.
Wasn't on purpose.
Really?
Yeah.
You flipped her.
Yeah.
That's kind of the dream.
You know?
I haven't been able. I'll never flip him.
We'll talk. I'll
Okay.
give you some methods.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll drug him.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I just vacuum really loudly if they
At
start
night.
falling asleep. Yeah. Question 4. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, is there one moment that really sticks with you?
Anytime I've ever been in an acting class,
Oh.
for sure. Or even when I started at the Groundlings, I was super imposter because I felt like everyone had done theater and drama growing up, and I had never done any of that. I took like A and B, which anyone can take, and then you have to audition to do the core track, right? So I took A and B. I really liked my teacher. I feel like she understood me, and then I auditioned, got in, and this was my first like real class. And at the midway point, I was so scared. I like never really went up on stage. Like, if anyone, my teacher was basically like, "Why are you taking this class?" And I kind of had a breakdown a little bit because he was like, "Well, do you want to do like acting or comedy?" I hadn't done stand up yet or anything. And I was like, I was afraid to even say yes. I like didn't even feel like I didn't even feel like I was allowed to dream, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, so you must have done like drama or something? And I was like, I've never done anything. And it was a fair question. Why do you want to take this class? And I couldn't handle it.
I'm glad that you saw it through.
I did, yeah.
Question 5, final question. What is your favorite tea? And if you don't have a favorite tea, what is your favorite
So I grew up on Lipton.
Okay. We're not here to judge.
Every morning, like since I was like 3. I
Yeah.
started young.
Okay.
I would drink a cup of Lipton. And I don't really drink Lipton anymore, but I just love a black tea.
That's a great answer.
I also love Earl Grey.
What if I had some great Earl Greys? I could imagine.
But it's too late.
I know.
Yeah. And I'm trying to drink less caffeine after a certain time because, I'm trying to be less of a night owl. And so, yeah, I would say Earl Grey. What I really love is an Earl Grey iced tea.
Next time you come,
Mhm.
I have a great Earl Grey that ices particularly well.
Amazing. And I also, I meant to bring you some. So next time I'll have to bring this to you because I asked if you had ever had coconut cream loose leaf tea.
I've not.
And that is really fantastic as well. So
I would love some of that. Well, now you have incentive to come back.
I definitely do.
That was the pod. How do you feel?
I feel like I have no concept of what time it is.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for coming. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. And the tea's delish.
Oh.
Let's talk about the tea real quick. The notes are amazing.
Yeah. I love it. All of our tea fans will be happy to hear that.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Macey Isaacs. You can find her on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Macey Isaacs. This episode was produced by Jude Crowner. It was edited by Martin Alvarez. Our theme song and additional music are by Oliver Hymack. Our cover art was done by Neil Fraser with photography by Matt Mazisco. Social media by Dia Villegas. Please write a review and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever else you can. You can send any questions, comments, newly friend game suggestions, or tea suggestions to steepcombos@gmail.com or tweet us at steepcombos. I'm Josh Lanzet, and you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Josh Lanzet. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.
So always had my tinnies on. And so
Do you call them tennies, by the way?
Why did I just say it that?
I love
I think
it.
my dad calls them tennies,
I
and it
love
just
it.
popped out of my mouth.
Jess's parents used to call them tennis shoes.
Yeah. What did you say? Sneakers?
Don't say it like you hate it.
No,
I do.
I
You're like,
don't.
you say sneakers.
No, that's just my accent.
Oh, look at that Yankee over here saying sneakers. Ooh,